Tommy Brock's coming, Tommy Brock's coming, Tommy Brock's coming. And then Bobby says, Tommy Brock's coming. And then Kai says, what? In the just like that, when Kai says, what? And then Bobby says, Tommy Brock's coming, Tommy Brock's coming, Tommy Brock's coming. And then Kai says, uh-oh, he's right. Oh no, gotta hide, gotta hide, gotta hide, gotta hide, gotta hide. And then Tommy Brock says, I love to win, it blows things around. And then Bobby says, uh-oh, what are we gonna do? We need that sack for Lola. And then Kai says, hold on, I'll think of a plan. And then Bobby says, what's our plan? And just like that, when Bobby says, what's our plan, Kai? And then Kai says, let me think. I got it. Maybe I can throw the acorn at the branch and Tommy Brock will have an acorn shower when the acorns fall on him. And then Bobby says, that's a great idea. He'll have an acorn shower and we'll grab the sack. Let's do it! And then Kai throws the acorn at the branch and acorns fell. Tommy Brock says, duh, 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 duh. Hey! Who did that? Show yourself! And then Kai says, yes, this is our chance. Let's grab that sack before Tommy Brock comes back. And then Tommy Brock says, huh? That's weird. Kai and Bobby has the same sack as mine. Huh? Wait a second. That is mine! They took it from me! And then Tommy Brock says, come back here! And then Kai says, uh-oh, let's get out of here. And then Bobby says, uh-oh, Kai, I'm afraid Tommy Brock is after us, and he's after the sack. What we're gonna do? And then Kai says, we need a ramp. Ice blast. And then Bobby says, uh-oh, he went past it. What we're gonna do? And then Kai says, no ideas. We need a boost. But he's after us, and he can run really fast. We need a boost. Meanwhile, Lola was wet and cold and really shaken and shivering. And then Twilight was holding her. While Twilight is holding her, Twilight says, don't worry, Lola, you're safe with me. And then Twilight says, it's okay, Lola. You'll be safe and warm in no time. And then Lola's cheeks are turning purple and she started to sneeze. Lola says, Twilight, my cheeks are turning purple and I think I'm starting to sneeze. I need these covers to keep me warm. I think I'm getting cold. And then Twilight says, Rami, we have a problem. Lola's cheeks are turning purple and she started to sneeze. I think she's getting really cold. Kai and Bobby need to hurry with the covers. Lola is getting really cold. If they don't come back with the covers, Lola will get really sick. I'm really worried. I hope they come back with the covers. I'm really worried. And then Rami says, yeah, but they're being chased by that grouchy old badger. And then Bobby says, how do we escape him? And then Kai says, we need a boost. And then Pepper says, not if he can get past me. Hey, Tommy Brock, I'm over here. Come and get me. And then Pepper launches Tommy Brock in the air. And then Kai says, thanks, Pepper. And then Pepper says, no problem. And then Rami says, Kai, Bobby, can you hear me? And then Kai says, Rami, what's wrong? And then Rami says, we have a problem. Lola's cheeks are turning purple and she started to sneeze. She's getting really cold. You have to hurry with the covers. Lola is getting really cold. You need to act fast. And then Kai says, Don't worry, Rami. We're on our way. We just had to get the covers to Lola in no time. And then Tommy Brock's shadow gets behind him. Rami says, guys? And then Kai says, hey, where'd the sun go? And just like that, when Kai says, hey, where'd the sun go? And then Tommy Brock says, you took my sack. And then Kai says, sorry, Tommy Brock, we need that sack. Lola is cold and she needs some covers. And then Tommy Brock says, I don't care, I want it back. And then Kai says, but Tommy Brock, if we don't get the covers to Lola, she'll be really cold and she'll be really sick. And then Tommy Brock says, but I want it back. Or when Kai says, was that Tommy Brock? In the